Welcome back to the Total Focus Podcast. I'm your host, Paul. Our sponsor of the week is Mid-Atlantic Video and Photography Productions. No matter if you need photos or video, we are the team to get the job done. No matter if you need photos for that great wedding or that special event, they can help you with your photos. And if you need a videographer for your wedding day, or if you need to shoot a music video or a special family event, they are the videographers to get the job done. So no matter if you're thinking about photos or videos, please contact Mid-Atlantic Video and Photography Productions for your next video or photography project. Our special guest this week is the current Ms. New Mexico Teen USA 2020. Isabella Bizzell is on the show. She's an incredible pageant contestant. She's competed 3 times to win the title, and third time's the charm, as they say. And she's going to talk about her pageant career, her pageant pursuits, and all of her exciting things coming up to competing at nationals. I'm really excited for having her on the show, and I want to spend a special thanks to her director, Ms. New Mexico Teen USA's, the official preliminary to the Ms. Teen USA pageant, independently directed and produced by Laura Productions. Laura, we really appreciate you giving permission to interview your wonderful teen title holder, Isabella, and we appreciate you allowing us your time, and we appreciate you working with us in the future. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Well, it's absolutely amazing to have one of our lovely USA teen contestants on the show. I really appreciate yourself, Isabella, coming on the show and talking about your newly won title. I know you're vastly running towards the national competition, so I'm sure you're really excited.
Yes, I am for sure. It's coming quick around the corner.
Yeah, have you ever been to Memphis and to the Elvis's home ever?
I
The
have
Graceland?
my cousin actually got married in Memphis, Tennessee. So we got to go to Graceland and do the Elvis Museum, which was super cool.
That's awesome. Was it a long time ago?
About 3 years ago. So it would
Bel-
be nice to go back.
Believe it or not, in that time frame, because that's roughly the last time I went, they've demolished the Welcome Center and built a brand new one. So
Oh, wow.
the building that you're actually going to be competing in is a brand new facility. So
Wow.
yeah, so you should be like treated like princesses. I mean, you guys should be treated like princesses regardless. But so all of our listeners are always wondering what are the like steps to really get there. And as a teen, it's always even harder because you're still starting at life and you have high school and all these other factors. So when you were starting out your pageant career, is this your first pageant? Were you doing other things to really pursue pageantry, or you just happened to do really well and you won your first pageant? Like where are you in this mix?
So I competed for 3 years. Prior to pageantry, I was a competitive cheerleader, and that was pretty much my entire life. I had never done anything besides cheerleading because I just loved it so much. But then I started having really bad back pain, which we couldn't figure out what the cause was. So I had to stop cheering, unfortunately. And pageants was kind of just something that I'd always thought to be super cool, but I never thought that I was the type of girl to do a pageant until I got hurt and I realized maybe that was something that I could try now because I wasn't so busy with cheerleading. So that was kind of just a spur of the moment thing. The first year I competed, I really had no idea what I got myself into. I didn't know about evening gown or interview or anything about pageants really, but it was so much fun the first year that I competed, and I wanted to go back. So I went back a second year and I placed second runner up, which I was a little bit more educated about how to prepare for a pageant. So I definitely did better. And then this third year, which was this year, I won, thankfully. And I just kind of knew a lot more about pageant. So over the years, I've learned so much, not only about myself, but about how the pageants work. And I think that's what really helped me win this year.
Well, let's roll things back a little bit because I always like to break things down and help people with this. So,
Okay.
does cheerleading help you become a better pageant contestant because there is some stage component and you have to work as a team, or is it, or cheerleading is just something that was taking the time that kept you in good shape, that then there was an injury and then you applied yourself to something else?
I would say it's a little bit of both. Cheerleading definitely kept me in shape and kept my metabolism fast. But I had been on stage since I was 6 or 7. So the stage was kind of something that came naturally to me, and I enjoy being on stage. And I definitely think that all of those years of cheerleading and, being drilled to have facials the entire time while I'm flipping upside down, that definitely was really helpful for when I got into pageants, because then I was already comfortable with the stage presence.
So when you say on stage, were you as a young child doing cheerleading performances on stage, or were you more doing the team? Because you could do the team aspect where you're doing AC national cheer AC. I always get the acronym for cheerleading, ACA, National Cheerleading Association. Is that the correct one? Or I always get those wrong.
That is one of them.
Okay,
There are a ton of
okay.
them.
But is that what you're referring to for the stage um, performances, or were you doing like batons or something else in cheerleading?
No, so I was on a team with about 25 to 30 girls, and we would perform on stage at competitions around the country.
Okay, so that really did play a major role. So
Yes.
if someone's sitting there and they've never done a team sport and they've never been on a stage and they want to do pageantry, do you recommend them pursuing that to practice and like sharpen their sword, or do you think that that may be a waste of time and may not be the best way to go ahead and win the title? Should they just go ahead and pursue being a pageant contestant?
I would say honestly, like, I think cheerleading was just a part of who I was in my story, and it did help me, but it might not be the same for somebody else. I think with getting comfortable on stage and pursuing pageants, you kind of have to find your own way to figure that out, because I think a lot of different people have different ways of getting comfortable with something. So I think really it's just finding what works for you so that you can reach that end goal. And for me, that might have been my cheerleading helped me along the way. So I don't know that cheerleading is what made it or broke it for me, but I do think it was very helpful. And I also think that practicing in front of people can be really helpful. I think just getting comfortable and used to people watching you.
What's the dynamic or pressure that is very unique for someone who's in high school as a teen, competing as a cheerleader, and then going into pageantry? Is there like are you famous in the school? Does that put extra pressure? If so, are people looking down at you? What are the scenarios that you're put in? Is there any pressure in any way?
So I always joke with like my family members that I live like a Hannah Montana double life, because of course, like, if I have an event or something, I'm gonna get all dressed up and wear my sash and crown and, fit to that dynamic. But if I'm at school, I'm either like in leggings and a sweatshirt. and I try not to talk about the pageants with anybody there. But when I won, everybody kind of found out on social media. So at that point, everybody knew who I was and they were super excited. And they always want to talk about it. So I don't know that it's pressure. I think I thought it would be more pressure than it actually turned out to be. A lot of people are very supportive, which I'm appreciative of. The only thing that I've kind of struggled with a little bit is time management. Like, I'm a freshman in college now and preparing for Team USA, and there are so many components and things that I have to do to get ready for Team USA and also my homework for school. And I just feel like I'm being kind of stretched a little thin right now, but I am getting through it, and hopefully, after Team USA, things will calm down a little bit. But that's kind of been the only thing that's been a little bit stressful for me.
Well, I'd love for you to. I'd love to get into that time management thing. Are you feeling that you're maximizing the amount of like actual workable hours in your day, and getting things accomplished proactively, or do you feel like everything's being thrown at you at the exact same time and you don't know exactly how to accomplish everything, and somehow miraculously things are coming together at the last minute?
Um, well, my mom and I always joke because from the time I was little, she always told me that I needed to put things on the calendar or tell her to put the things on the calendar. That way I knew where I had to be and when and what I had to be doing that day. So it has been engraved in my brain that if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist. So I use my calendar very wisely, and I pretty much have my entire day from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. completely booked with either, okay, I'm going to be doing this homework, or I'm going to go tan or practice my hair and makeup. So I would say that my whole day is planned and I'm always doing something. That way I can get everything done. But
Is that
it is
person
definitely busy.
Yeah, is that personally helpful for you? Are you one of those people that you would rather be on a schedule, or do you feel that you would be more liberated and more free flowing if you could know that there is objectives to achieve that day and you just need to finish them, and it doesn't matter in what time frame and what order?
I would say that I like having a schedule and having things planned. I do think that I can like go with the flow if need be, but at the same time, like I think I just work so much better if I know that I need to be doing homework at this time because I have interview sessions later. So I think planning has definitely helped me a lot, and I don't know that I'd be okay without it.
Now, just as a curious thing, um, I'm 38, and my life is, I grew up on pen and paper, but now it basically revolves around a digital calendar. Are
Mhm.
you all digital calendar, or does your mom um, feel that she needs to have a paper calendar, or do you guys have a digital link calendar that you guys both can see on both of your computer devices or your phones?
So we have a family calendar on our phones. That way we can see who needs to be where and what they're doing that day. But I also have a calendar that I can write in because I think that's been very helpful for me for school. Being able to actually write something down on pen and paper, I think helps me remember it a little bit easier. And then that's just for school pretty much. And then mostly all of my pageant stuff is just all on my phone calendar.
Are you keeping any kind of a journal in that sense, or is it just the calendar?
In my written calendar, it has like a space where you could put something that happened to you this week that you really liked, like a good thing that happened. So that's kind of the only thing that I journal about, I guess. But it's nice to have to look back and remember that something good happened.
Do you see yourself keeping that, or are you not that sentimental?
I don't know. I am kind of a hoarder, but sometimes I just go on a rampage and throw everything away. So I'm not sure yet, honestly.
Okay. So just to put it in age perspective, you're 18 to 19, or how old are you? Because if you're in your first year of college.
Yes, so I just turned 18 in
18.
May.
Okay, so you competed your 18th year for your title, right? That you
I was
currently
17
you're
when I won.
17. Okay. So you had 2
Yes.
more years of eligibility, correct?
Yes, I
Okay.
did.
So was that another big issue, the age of eligibility? Were you like, did you feel that this was the year, if you was going to win, this was the year that would be the most like freeing time or most proactive time to win the title?
Um, I don't know, to be honest, because the second year that I competed, I really wanted to win that year. And then I didn't. And I kind of saw that that wasn't really my year to win. I still had so much more growth and learning about myself that I had to do. And then this year, I kind of just thought, I went into the mindset of, if I'm going to win, I'm going to win. Like, there, if not, there's always next year, and if not then there's always the missed competition. So I didn't really see like a pressurized time limit, I guess. I just wanted to do my best, and if I was meant to win, then I would.
So looking at your 3 years of competition practicing, do you feel that you've really learned all of the things that encompass what would be Miss Teen USA United States USA, or do you think there are still things that you're learning and that you think that you'll have the skills by the time you get to nationals?
I think with anything, there's always a lot of room to grow. And, even if you think you know everything, there might still be a couple things that you could learn. And I think that's where I'm at, like right now. Like, I think this year as a title holder didn't necessarily go the way that most of us thought it was going to, but I feel like I still am learning things about myself and improving myself. And by the time I get to Teen USA and I'm there to compete, I think that that'll be the best version of myself. And that's what I'll show the judges. But even then, like, I think there's always things to learn and always room to improve. So I guess I'll just always keep growing myself, I guess.
What do you think that really allowed you to jump ahead so far from that first year to that second year? So the first year you said you placed or you didn't place?
I did not
You
place
didn't
my
place the
first year.
first year, and then the second
No.
year you finished in second, third runner up status, right?
Yes.
So that's a huge leap. I mean that
Hmm.
so what are the, like, so someone's sitting there, they've competed and they didn't place. What do you what did you do? And then maybe they can draw upon that allowed them, that'll help them to exceed in their pageant. So what are the key things that you did to really retroactive?
So the first year, I did maybe 2 interview sessions prior to the competition, which was not nearly enough to bring me out of my shell. I was definitely really nervous and kind of I was not open at all, I guess. And so when I got to my interview, they could tell that I was nervous. They could tell that I didn't really know what I was doing. And I think that was the biggest thing that I improved on the next year is I did interview session after interview session and walking sessions just to make myself the most comfortable that I could be. And I would definitely say that interview was what I improved the most on from the first year to the second year. And interview is the biggest score. So I think that's what really helped me with the second year.
So was that a pageant coach, or were you drawing upon a YouTube video or multiple past winners?
So I used an interview coach. Her name's Kelly Sargent, and she does a lot of pageant interview coaching, and she has helped me tremendously over the last 3 years.
Is she the magic potion in the sauce that allowed you to get there, or is she a part of it?
I would definitely say that she's part of it, but I think at the end of the day, it comes down to who is competing. And like for me, I had to come out of my shell and be comfortable to show the judges who I am and what I wanted to do. And Kelly was just a person who could help me get there.
Teen is such a very, I would say, hard for, as I've been a past judge as well as I've been a photographer for 10 years. It's so hard to pick. Um,
Right.
would you recommend anyone just go ahead and do a random teen pageant and roll the dice, or do you think you should take it really serious, like a Ms. competition, and practice a long time and not waste your money? And how do you look at it? Because clearly you definitely put your money at the top of the line. This is the biggest system in the United States, next to America. Everyone knows USA. Everyone knows that silver and white sash. Everyone knows the teen crown. So, um, what? Uh, how did you break that down, or is this something you've dreamed of? You've always dreamed of this specific title.
So I have done other pageant systems, and that's made me realize that I really love the USA system, and that is just the pageant that I wanted to do. But I think for the most part, like everybody is different. For me, I was very outgoing from the time that I was little. And then after I had to stop cheering, I kind of went back in a little bubble and wasn't as outgoing, but then pageants kind of brought it out again in me. And so I think that like the interview component can come naturally to some people rather than others. But I also think that, practicing every single day isn't going to, like, if you practice every single day for a year, I don't know that that's really going to make or break the competition. I think being able to, like, over the year, like, learn and grow as much as you can as a person, and do interview sessions here and there, and also practice your walk like throughout the year. I think that is a good way to, you know always be practicing, but not so much to where it's kind of consumed your whole life. Because I think that if you focus everything on it and let pageants consume your life, it's going to be a little bit too much. And then you don't really get to show your genuine self. And I think that's the biggest part, is showing the judges who you are is what they're going to be impressed with, and that's how you're going to win. And so I think however you can accomplish that is the way to do it. But I do think that everybody's different, so just finding that way that works for you, that way you can show them who you are, is the best way to go about it, I guess.
So, how are you? I mean, it's a good segue there. How are you really separating that life? I mean, do you have girlfriends that you hang out with and you talk about? Do you have cheerleading? So I assume you like football or basketball or baseball. So are you, or you going shopping or going to the movies? Is that your separation, or do you have girlfriends that are in the pageant world and you guys obsessed about it and you talk about the pageant stuff all the time? Because you specifically said you like to turn that off and
Yeah,
not.
so I don't know. I think I've kind of found a balance. It's funny because my roommate is actually, she was the first runner up to me at the New Mexico pageant. And
That's
of
completely
course, we're
random.
together. Yeah, we're together
Wow.
all the time. But we don't really talk about pageants that much. Like, we, talk about our homework, and we do our homework together. We go eat dinner and talk about like the new people that we've met. But I don't know that we really obsess over the pageants. Like, she's now doing another pageant system. So like, of course we talk about it sometimes, or like when she's on the phone with her mom, like she's talking about the pageants, but I wouldn't say that that's something that I like to focus on. Like, I I think I like to be kind of independent with the pageants. Like, I want to focus on interview, like when I'm doing my interview session. And then, of course, like I'll go and talk to my mom and tell her how it went after that. But after that, like I kind of like to keep it to myself and, just think about it to myself rather than going and like talking about it 24/7. So I would say that I like going to dinner and hanging out with my friends. And that's kind of my balance of going away from the pageants, I guess.
Is that a little bit embarrassing then, or do you feel that um, it's not really a sport or a competition, and that when you're in it, and then when you're not, like life, the sun goes up, the sun goes down, life um, continues going.
No, it's not embarrassing at all. Personally, I don't really like to talk about the pageants because I feel like it's kind of coming across as bragging. And I know that it's not. Like, if I say that I'm Miss New Mexico Teen USA, like, I am proud to say that. But I like to kind of, I don't know, I like to keep it to myself a little bit if it's just like a person that I meet in college because I don't know. I guess I really like that Hannah Montana life.
I don't blame you, because I mean, if I could be Batman and be a superhero, or Hammond, I mean, to me it sounds weird for me to say that, but it's Batman is the appropriate for a guy. So
Right.
and if if you could be wonderful and great charisma, and then at night to be like saving the world, that I think anyone would want that. Or so I'm getting that vibe.
Yes.
it, is it has it hit you yet that you're in very rare air, like, for just a statistically wise, there has been less people competing for your title than has competed in the Super Bowl in its existence? Like, the amount of people, like, does that like scare you? Did you not know that statistic? Like, is that really cool for you?
I think that that's really cool. That's definitely one of the statistics that I use when I'm like telling my family members about it. Because I feel like not everybody always understands pageants, and so that statistic kind of puts it into perspective. Um, I would say that the first night that I won, I do not really remember anything because I was just like in my own little bubble of um I was in my own little bubble, I guess. So I don't really remember that much from that night. But I think it still kind of is weird to me. But I would say that it definitely is a huge honor being able to compete in Miss Teen USA around all of these other amazing girls. And I don't know that it'll even hit me until I really get there that it is such a huge thing. But I am really glad that I have had this opportunity.
Well, I hope it doesn't. I hope the moment is something that you can absorb and remember, and look fondly on. And hopefully you're looking fondly because you're going to be a former Miss Teen USA. Um, but also, the people that have gone on, there are so many famous people and celebrities. Have you looked at the Wikipedia of all the past people that have won titles, and are famous actors, actresses, or all the amazing achievements they have done?
Yes, there are definitely a lot of women who have competed in pageants and won the state titles and then have gone on to do amazing things. And I think that's what's really exciting because I also want to be one of those girls. And it really just is an amazing sisterhood with so many awesome girls who have done so many different things. And I'm just really glad to be a part of it.
Now, because you guys are the teen group, do you guys have at least a Facebook or some kind of meeting ground where you guys can all chat and try to build some friendship, or has that not been established because of the crazy year that we're in?
Yes, so actually we have a group me, which is like a little group chat app. And that was awesome because Kaylee, the current Miss Teen USA, um, created it. And when we all won, she gave us the link to it. And she's even in it too. And she said the reason why she made it was because she wants us to be able to have that friendship, but also be able to ask her questions leading up to the competition and like being comfortable with who we're being around. And I thought that that was really cool because she said that she didn't have anybody to talk to or ask questions. And the fact that she made that so that we could have it, I thought that was pretty awesome. And it's cool to talk to all of the girls.
I just wanted to take 1 second from this great interview and talk about our sponsor of the week, Mid-Atlantic Video and Photography Productions. No matter if you're planning a wedding, a special event, or you just need an amazing headshot, they are the team to get the job done. You can reach out to them at 443-422-3830. Again, that's 443-422-3830. Or you can go right to their website at mavpp.com. Now let's get right back to the show and listen to this great interview. Well, that's so awesome that she really is thinking for you guys and looking long term, because those lifetime friendships, you know for a fact that one of those 49 contestants, I should say 50, but that doesn't sound math wise. One of you
Right.
guys will be Teen USA. So you know someone there is going to have a huge role for the rest of their life, because even though you hold the title for 1 year, you're still going to be Teen USA. You just be, for that year. So the, are you grasping the concept that, I'm sure holding the title for the state level must have been a huge undertaking just for like the psyche. Like, are you there mentally that like I am Miss New Mexico? Like, are like, is that there yet? Or are you still trying to like, wow, I represent a whole state?
Um, when you
Especially
put
at
it
this
like
level.
that,
Especially at this level
yeah,
too. Like, that's what I'm saying.
right. I don't know, to be honest. Like, a lot of people that I meet, like, or if somebody follows me on Instagram, the first thing that they see is that I am Miss New Mexico Teen USA, and I feel like that's something that a lot of people like say, like, "Oh, you're Miss New Mexico Teen USA, like you're famous," and I'm like, "Well, I don't know about that." But I guess I am representing an entire state, and I'm just excited to make my mark on the world and hopefully make a huge impact. And I think that being Miss New Mexico Teen USA has really helped me with that. So I am thankful for that.
So the fame that may go along with this, I guess, is not your priority then, or you're not aware of it, or it's just a byproduct of the system that you're in that everyone knows. Like I said, and I'll emphasize again, this is when people say pageantry, they they say glowingly and non-glowingly things about this specific system. I mean, this is the system that people make fun of because Donald Trump owned it. This is the system that Bill Maher makes fun of because they think it's a purification of women. So, like, the does that all that stuff like just like are you not like in that ecosystem of aware of what the bigger things going on, and are you just like trying to be oblivious of what's going on and just trying to stay in your bubble?
I would say that this is an amazing system, and I am really glad to be a part of it and being able to represent New Mexico specifically. I
Right.
think it's important to find the positives and,
Oh yeah,
focus
of
on
course.
those instead of, looking at the negatives. So I think that's kind of where I'm at with it. Being aware of what's going on and what's in my surroundings is important, but I think the positives are more important.
Well, no, I just, I guess, I want to clarify my question. So, like, are you aware that people hold this as being the best system and hold this as being what pageantry should be? Like,
Oh,
yeah, and that people will knock it because it, like, when you win the World Series or people try to knock you. So there is always going to be someone who knocks you. So, like,
right.
right. So now you're leading up to the national title. So you could be the person with the national title representing the biggest system. So, you know, are you just like I was trying to say, like, are you just more focused, if you don't win, you're gonna focus on your state and you love your state, or like you're fully aware of that and you're ready to take on those challenges and make everyone happy? Like, I'm just trying to see what you're headed and see what your thoughts on that, because at one minute you're saying like you try to be low key and like act like pageantry is not a big deal, but you're ready. It sounds like if someone challenges you, you're ready for a great pageant challenge.
Yes, I would say that I'm definitely up for the challenge. I mean, it would be a huge honor to win the pageant, but even just being New Mexico and being able to represent a state in the USA system is really awesome, and it's a huge responsibility. So, honestly, like, I just want to be a positive role model for whoever I can be, and regardless of other people's perceptions of pageants or the negatives that they think it has, I just want to be able to be a role model.
That's awesome. And what's your platform representing your system, and what are you um, primarily focusing on when you talk to the judges?
So, my platform is Endometriosis Awareness. I was diagnosed with endometriosis at 16, which is a pretty young age to be diagnosed. And it the average diagnosis timeline is 7 to 10 years. So most women don't get diagnosed until they're in their late 20s. So for me, I want to raise awareness, and I've also been raising funds for endometriosis. That way, more women can get their diagnosis in a faster time. And also, just knowing about endometriosis, you might be able to help a friend who's struggling with it, or you might be struggling with it. And just knowing what I know about endometriosis and my story, being able to share that can maybe help somebody else along the way. And so that's definitely something that I focus on when I'm talking to the judges. But I think one of the bigger things too is that for me, my story is my struggle with endometriosis. But for somebody else, it might be their struggle with anxiety or, being shy. Or it could be anything. And just being able to encourage them to share their story and that they're not alone is definitely something that the message that I want to get across.
You might think I'm completely a noob, but I have no idea what that condition or disease is. So, would you mind informing us? Because I'm sorry, I'm not aware of
No,
this.
you're fine. It's very under researched and underfunded. Nobody really knows what it is, but 1 in 10 women have this disease, so it's pretty common. But endometriosis is where the inner lining of the uterus grows outside of your uterus, and it creates like these growths and adhesions, which causes terrible
Wow.
pain, painful periods, and a ton of other uncomfortable symptoms. So, really, the only treatment is surgery, but not everybody can have surgery. So, it's definitely something that a lot of women struggle with. And that's why I am so passionate about wanting to raise awareness and funds about this disease. And I also want to break the stigma of discussing the disease openly, because as soon as somebody finds out that it has something to do with periods, they're like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to ask, or like cry. But I am actually pretty comfortable talking about that because it is part of me. And I mean, so many other women deal with it too. And I just want to be able to break that stigma, because I don't think that we should be ashamed of that.
Well, I'm be right up in front, and I'm really proud that you were able to answer that question professionally and as if there was no issue. And I really appreciate you giving me more information as a man, because the more I can understand other issues for women, I can be more compassionate. So I appreciate you.
Right.
I mean, I think that in a society where we need to give women more rights and be more transparent and give them more opportunities is really important. So I guess my follow-up question, and I'm sure you've asked, is it going to be more difficult for you to have a family because of this condition, or you're going to stay positive and you haven't addressed that at this point?
So, infertility is definitely a symptom of endometriosis, and a lot of women struggle with it. But for me, I feel that I am not at that point yet where I really need to be stressing about that. I think when the time comes, if that is a problem, like, I have a really good family and support system and amazing doctors that are going to help me figure that out. So I guess I'm trying not to think about that now and just going with the flow and hoping that everything's okay, but knowing that I will have an option, whether it's adoption or, freezing my eggs or something. I just know that I have a support system to back me up with that.
Well, I'm very confident that things are only going to get better technology wise. So and at your young age, hopefully you can take those steps to have a family. And like you mentioned, there are millions and millions of kids that don't have anyone to love them. So for you to even consider that at 19 just shows how big of a heart you have. So
Well, thank you.
because adopting is a huge undertaking. That said, clearly, you can see why the judges loved you. I mean, like, you're so seriously, you're very open with what is most important to you. You're very well skilled at on debate and your questions, and you come back with a very timely and easy to go conversation. So clearly, the interview process must have been really easily accomplished this year. Did you feel that you had your best interview this year, winning it at states?
Yes, I did. I walked out of my interview so excited and so happy with what I put that out there. So that was really awesome. But even with it being my best interview, I was still a little nervous. I have this thing where my leg like shakes in the middle of my interview, and I don't know if that's just like a body response to being nervous. But I don't feel nervous like in like thinking about it, I didn't feel nervous, but my body must think different. So I just thought that was a little funny.
Just curious, you don't wear like an Apple Watch or anything like that tracks your heartbeat?
Not during my interview. I took
Okay.
it off.
I was gonna say I'd be curious to see if you. I mean, I would assume that you had an elevated heart rate. I would love to. Hopefully, in the future, they'll be able to do things like blood sugar and the glucose level, because that would really. They say that's a nervous tick, that it's proponed with heart rate and everything. So I would assume that's what it is. But clearly, the judges didn't see that as a distraction. They were paying attention to what was coming out of your mouth and not your twitching leg. So
Yes, thankfully.
I just wanted to take one extra second and talk about our sponsor of the week, Mid-Atlantic Video and Photography Production. No matter if you're planning a wedding and you need a wedding videographer, you're doing a music video, or doing a commercial, they are the team to get the job done. You can reach out to them at 443-422-3830. Again, that's 443-422-3830. Or you can go right to their website at mavpp.com. Now let's get right back to this great interview. All right, Isabella. This is the part of the show where I invite you to take over the show for a couple minutes and talk about anything that's really important. So we just talked about your platform, but I know with COVID, in past years, we would talk about public appearances, and I know that Nationals is rapidly coming up, so I don't know if you'll have any physical public appearances. And I know you just had your going away party. But do you have any fundraising going on that you need some help with? Or do you have anything that any of your colleagues or friends, anything that that we could help you with? Or do you have any prayers that we need to help you with? So
all of the appearances have pretty much been online or through Zoom because of COVID, which I am sad about, but I'm still glad that I've had some opportunities to, just talk to kids or anything like that. But the one thing that the Miss USA is doing this year is we are actually getting people to vote. So there's an app and it's called Miss USA on the App Store and Google Play. And you can download that and you can go onto the app and vote for both Miss USA and Miss Teen USA. So there's all of the states. And it would be really awesome if some of the listeners maybe wanted to go and vote for New Mexico, both Miss and Teen. That would be really awesome. And we would appreciate it. Because that actually grants us into the top 16. And what I think is really cool about this is that half of the proceeds go to the charity of the voters' choice. So,
well, that's really cool. That's cool.
Yes.
So where have you earmarked your portion?
I picked the Endometriosis Research Center because it pertains to
That sounds awesome. Yep.
Yes. So that is just, I thought that was really cool. And hopefully, if I get the vote, then all of the proceeds will go to the Endometriosis Research Center, which would be super awesome. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a great organization to promote towards. It goes towards both your platform as well as an organization, I'm sure, that is not getting the right funding that it does need. I mean,
Yes.
I don't know anything about it, and I'm sure that there's more than enough women dealing with this. So I'm sure that it needs more funding. I would doubt there is a critical disease out there that is not getting I'm sure there's enough. I'm sure there are plenty of diseases out there that need more critical funding. So I'm sure they will definitely love and accept more funding. So let's help her get into the top 15, guys. So.
And the first vote is actually free, and then you can pay for votes after that. So that's also cool.
Well, then that's a no-brainer. You need to go there and just vote for her, and then also for all of our friends out there that are of age, you need to make a nice taxable donation. And we all have reasons that we need to write off taxes this year, so we can so make some donations and help some people. Okay.
Thank you.
No. So how we haven't discussed COVID, and COVID is the closet question, and it has to be addressed because we don't have a vaccine right now. And at your age, do you feel concerned about it, or are you more concerned that you could bring it back and then cause any of your family members? I assume your grandparents are still alive, so
yes.
Are you concerned that you may bring it back and cause them to be ill?
Yes, I do think that that's definitely been a concern for my family because we, you know, within preparing for Teen USA, I'm going to get my nails done or going to practice my hair and makeup at the salon. So I've definitely been out, and I wouldn't want to go visit my grandparents and potentially get them sick. So that's something that I've been very cautious with. I call them all the time, but I have not seen them as much because of that. So it is a little sad not to see them, but they are very important to me, and everybody's important. So I think it's better to be safe than sorry, and we've definitely had to be cautious with COVID.
Do you feel a little this is just like how you feel personally. Do you feel that you wish you could have won in a normal year, or do you feel that you've tried to take, I'm just gonna do my best to make it the best year that I've had, or, you know, in all honesty, would you have rather had a year that was more normal and you could have done public appearances and had a more full normal year of competition?
Public appearances were definitely something that I was looking forward to. But at the same time, I am glad that I won this year because I have an amazing director, an amazing Miss Big Sister. So I do definitely think that, just finding the positives and trying to make the best out of it is where I'm at. And, the fact that we still get to go compete at Miss Teen USA this year, the fact that they are working hard to find the right safety measures so that all of us are safe and still able to compete, I think is really awesome. And I am just glad to be a part of that.
Um, have you been preparing? Like, are you gonna pack extra stuff because of that? I'm sure it's stressful enough to have your outfits for the week, and then the actual competition outfits, and then the shoes, and then on top of it, are you packing like all of these different like mask combinations and like are you like I you might think I'm crazy, but I carry around a bottle of 70 proof peroxide spray, and I spray everything down. So I don't know if that would be appropriate during a national competition, but I'm very protective of my family. Are you bringing any extra stuff that you would have just left home under normal circumstances?
Yes, so always having hand sanitizer with me is super important. I have one in my car, in my backpack, pretty much everywhere. That way I could have it. So that's definitely something I'll be bringing with me. And then we actually had masks made, but Miss USA will be providing us masks when we get there. So
Ooh.
I'll just need to bring a few, like, so that I can travel with my mask. And then after that, I'll be able to wear the masks that they provided. So that'll be nice.
Fingers crossed that they either have the state initials or they have your title on it. I would love to see the sash. That would be so cute.
Yes. I think they were talking about something like that, but
Ooh,
we won't know until we get there. So
that's
I'm
so
excited to
cool.
see what it is.
That's so cool. And it has to be bedazzled. I mean, if it's not bedazzled, it's not worth wearing, right?
Right.
Um, I mean, at this point, do you have everything, or are you literally just counting down the days at this point? Because, in all sincerity, your competition was usually competed in June. So, do you feel that you've been just waiting for this? It's the Miz that it is usually later in the year. So even for them, this is normally the time that universes competed in. So has this been hard to just wait and wait and wait and wait?
I think when we first started quarantine, it was a little hard because we had no idea when it was going to be. But then, we started getting everything together still, and I was still practicing. And so that kind of kept me really excited for the competition. And now I feel like the last couple of months have just flown by because we've been so busy preparing. So like zoom by, and then I'm going to be at the competition. So I'm excited. I need to pack still. I laid out, and now it just comes down to the packing and actually getting there.
All right, so you addressed packing. So you don't have any idea how many bags you have yet.
I would say I probably have like 2 big ones
Only
and
2? Really?
a couple small ones.
Okay.
I'm only going to be there from the 1st to the 8th or 9th. So I won't be there as long as we normally would be. So I don't need as many outfits.
Okay. But you're not going to have like a dedicated bag of just shoes then.
I would say I definitely will.
Okay. So that's one bag, right? But it's not also
Yes.
But it sounded did I get the drift right? You guys are driving?
So my mom is driving.
Okay, so she's going to take your wardrobe, I guess.
She will be.
Yeah. Well, that's probably a safer thing. So,
Yes, I would say so.
yeah. Because most of my friends typically have taken around like 10 bags. So for you to get under 5, I would be really like, so because I was thinking that you're probably gonna have a bag of shoes, and then you're gonna have a suit bag or laundry bag, like a hanging bag, right?
Right.
And then you're gonna have a folding bag. So, are you still debating on your interview? Do you have your is everything like nailed down? You just have to pack it, or are you still nailing down anything?
Everything is pretty much nailed down. My interview is actually this Saturday. Yes, it is definitely different this year. I will be doing my interview from my home via Zoom. So it is interesting. I've never really done an interview so important over Zoom, but I'm excited to see how it goes. I'm excited for it to finally be here.
Okay. Have they given you any criteria on like the lighting and anything like that?
Yes. So over the course of the quarantine, we've had to send in a lot of different videos, and within each email that they send the request, they always have like, for lighting purposes, do this or do this. So they've definitely given us a lot of tips that are very helpful. So I'll definitely use those for when I do my interview this Saturday.
Gotcha. Well, as for someone who actually owns a video company, I would encourage you to make the background look like you're in an office and make sure it looks as professional, just as a helpful tip, so that, and nothing really crazy. So no crazy poster in the background, or maybe the dog barking outside could be taken down the block. But I'm sure that you're already aware of that. But I would definitely think of it like an awesome background, something simple, but maybe a plant in the background, and I hope you have an awesome table that you can, so they can see like you're at I don't know how they're gonna have you, if they're gonna have you stand or they're actually gonna have you sit. But that would be my thing. I would definitely take it like a job interview, and I would light your house or wherever you're gonna do it like it's an office. So.
Okay, I will do that. Thank you.
And I know you're gonna do this. I'm the old guy telling the young person how to do it. Get off my lawn. I'm screaming at a cloud.
I appreciate
I'm
it.
screaming at a cloud. So,
Thank you.
I really appreciate your time. I know that you have limited amount of time going into nationals, so I appreciate you coming on the Total Focus podcast, Isabella, and I really appreciate your opportunities, and I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do this. And I wish you only the best, and I hope that when you do win nationals, that you wouldn't mind giving our podcast an opportunity to interview again as the national title holder. So I hope that would be possible in the future. So
Yes, thank you. I had so much fun. Thank you for having me, and fingers crossed for nationals.
yes, fingers are crossed for you, and we are rooting for you.
Thank you so much.
Isabella, thank you so much for coming on the show and giving us a real insight of what it takes to win a title at such a young age, and dealing with all of the COVID areas. And it's always interesting to get insight and understanding how to be successful at the highest level. And everyone does their preparing a different way. And it's always interesting to see how what really defined and what makes you who you are. So we really appreciate it, and I clearly learned more stuff, and I appreciate your time, and I appreciate everything that you were able to tell us about your wonderful upcoming event. I just wanted to mention to all of our lovely listeners I appreciate everyone. Please make sure you're washing your hands and staying safe during these times. And as always, I would love and appreciate comments, and of course a little ding ding as a reminder on YouTube, and subscribe and select all on the notification bell and ring that bell, as they say. And as you guys should be aware of, if you're listening to our show on a regular basis, we also have our movie review show with my co-host, Ivan Carlos, where we talk about movies and we just have a great time. So I would really appreciate you guys giving us a thumbs up, giving us a subscribe. And for our listeners over on iTunes, please just pass it along, and also give us also a thumbs up, and please give us a subscribe. Everyone is appreciated. Everyone is welcome. And as always, please stay